Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be reacting to a Lordy is Jordy's Amberlynn and Beck Season 4 Q&A. I haven't watched this video beforehand, so this is going to be my first impression of it. Just like the Mr. Snowflake video, I'm going to be trying to answer as many questions as possible. But if there's anything I'm uncomfortable with, then I will skip over it and let you guys know. I want to thank Lordy is Jordy for getting these questions together and making this video for me to react to. I also wanted to let you guys know my last video on ghost stories is up, and I'd really appreciate it if you give it a watch. I'm definitely going to be doing more videos like it in the future, but next time it will be fan submitted stories instead, so keep an eye out for that. Also, I'm going to go live today at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so look out for that. So let's get started.
Hey, hi, how are ya? I think I could pull that off more if I had pink hair and looked like Voldemort. Never mind. So this is going to be the video that Beck will receive to react to if they so choose to do so. Beck is recently been launching a reaction series to reaction channels and getting the community involved in asking questions that they have always wondered what occurred during what I refer to as season 4 of Amberlynn Read. So let's just get started, Beck. These are coming straight from my community, and on my behalf, it'll go through the Jordy filter, so to speak. Okay, so the first question is from someone named Raven Elise, and I actually wonder this as well. Amberlynn is immobile, or close to immobile, during the time that you spent with her during your season. Raven and I would like to know, what does Amberlynn do with all of her time?
This is something that you guys probably already know about her, but it depends on what she's into in the moment. Like, it could be reading and being on her computer for hours upon hours at a time. She would have so many tabs open, and it would just be like YouTube, shopping. She would have her personal journal that she would write in open. I don't know. Sometimes I didn't even know because I didn't even really see a lot of her computer or her phone. She was also on her phone, but I was aware of the many different tabs that she was on, because another thing with Amber was no matter what she was doing or what we were doing, she could only handle it for so long, and then she would have to switch to something else. So if we were watching a movie or a TV show or something, we could only watch so much of it, and then she would pause it, and we'd have to do something else for a little while before we come back to it. She also was really into puzzles and Legos and journaling, and one thing that took up a lot of time was this game that she would force me to play called Choosy, where she would take a bunch of like thousands of stickers, like she bought bulk stickers, and had me pick between them all the way down until I picked one single sticker to be the best sticker of all. And she made me do this with buttons and earrings, calendar pages. She would buy a bunch of small calendars and tear the pages out and then have me pick between the pictures down to which one I liked the most. And Croc Charms. She would make me play choosy between Croc Charms. And she didn't even own a pair of Crocs. She just had thousands of Croc Charms for no reason. And sometimes, because there was so many, like with stickers and earrings, it would take hours and sometimes even days to completely get down to just one. And another thing that would take up a lot of time is she would set a timer for 45 minutes to an hour usually. And she would have me sit behind her and pretend to pick lint off of her back because she liked the way it felt and sounded because of ASMR. And she would have me do this for so long that my arms and stuff would hurt. And whenever I would want to stop, she would sigh and just be like, well, I'm going to pause the timer. So she would pause the timer for my little break, and then I'd have to immediately go back to it, and she would unpause the timer again. Sometimes I would catch her not unpausing the timer because she would want me to do it for longer.
Next up, we have a question from Gracie. I don't know if that's a reference to a specific animal, but Gracie asked this question. Gracie wants to know, when did the relationship between you and Amberlynn go from bad to worse? I know that people tend to put on their best face when they first get into relationships and slowly leak out the toxicity as they get along. So at what point did you realize, oh God, I'm in too deep, or oh God, the honeymoon phase has definitely worn off?
In the beginning, things were all right, but there were some signs of her being controlling. Then it got worse whenever we moved in together. And then even worse whenever I quit my job and started taking care of her and quote unquote working for her full time. So I feel like that was when I definitely felt like I was too deep in to leave.
Princessa would like to know, were there ever times during when you were in renal failure that you felt unsafe to drive, whether it be to how you felt from your condition or from being heavily medicated, that Amberlynn sort of pitched a bitch and demanded that you go get her fast food, went to Walmart, run her errands? Were there ever times where you felt, this is not a good idea, but if I don't do it, it will unleash the beast, so I better do it?
As you guys know, at that time, I was heavily medicated and I should not have been on the road. And I put myself in danger and other people in danger. And I wish I could go back and tell myself it wasn't worth it to take those risks. I'm aware that I should not have been on the road during that time. But from what I remember, I didn't really feel like I was making a conscious decision. I just knew that I felt bad, but I wasn't sure what was causing it at the time. I was afraid to leave, but I was being pressured to take care of others, specifically Amber's needs. Even though I know now that I had a choice, at the time I felt like I didn't, and I will always regret that.
Peyton Ford asks, how long was the mattress in the living room where you guys lived, and whose idea was it to put a mattress arbitrarily in the middle of a living room for Amberlynn to loiter on?
It was over a period of, I want to say, about 2 years. Whenever she would want to hang out in the living room, I would have to drag the mattress out. And when we were done hanging out, I would have to drag it back into the spare bedroom. It wasn't the bed that we slept on. It was my bed from before we were together, and it stayed in the spare bedroom. So it didn't stay in there all the time, but I did drag it back and forth for many days over the course of a few years. But it was all Amber's idea, and it was because she would get uncomfortable sitting on the couch because her ankles would swell, and it would just be more comfortable for her to be able to stretch her legs out. And there were also other reasons that I won't disclose.
Orion Mars asks, was there ever a point during your relationship with Amberlynn when you guys were still going on double dates with Destiny and Dana that Destiny kind of tried to give you hints or kind of suggest to you that being in a relationship with Amber wasn't a good idea, or say something along the lines of encouraging you to get away from Amber?
No, she never really nudged me or tried to get me to do that or anything, but there were plenty of times where she would look at me and be like, I don't know how you put up with her. And they would also bicker and argue a lot when they would be around each other. It was just how their dynamic was too.
So there's a person that typically comes onto social media and creates a little bit of an uproar every so often by the name of Annie Doran. Would you mind discussing a little bit who Annie Doran is, your relation to Annie Doran, and any of the claims that Annie Doran has made that you are aware of?
So this is a question that I've wanted to address for a while, but I wasn't sure how to approach it. I do see her comments here and there, and it does make me uncomfortable to see her still talking about my mom. So Anne got a hold of my mom because my mom was selling wreaths that she made, and she asked Amber to advertise them on YouTube, and she did. So Anne got a hold of my mom and bought a wreath from her, and she just continued to talk to my mom after after that as if she wanted to be friends with her. And my mom thought she really wanted to be friends, but the more she talked to her, the more my mom realized that Anne was only in for it for Amber. She was obsessed with Amber and she wanted to know everything about Amber. And because my mom and Amber weren't getting along at that point, my mom did say some things to Anne about Amber, which you guys had seen in that screenshot with those voice notes. But there were times that she would say negative things about me to my mom, and it felt like she was trying to come between me and my mom. And I don't mean things that were brought up on YouTube. I mean, there were random things that were just blatant lies. She lied a lot. And as for the things that I know she has said, the story about her being stuck in the shower and the fire department having to be called didn't happen. I don't know where she would have gotten that story. I know my mom definitely didn't say that. And as for Amber weighing 700 pounds, that also isn't true that I know of. The most that I was aware of her weighing was like 570 or 80 something. And after that, she just stopped weighing herself around me. So I really have no idea how much she ended up weighing, but I don't think it was 700 pounds, and I don't know where she would have got that information from.
Was there ever a single lie that stuck out to you more than any of the others? Raven Elise would like to know. Was there anything that Amberlynn told her audience where you just thought to yourself, wow, I cannot believe that she is that confident lying about that?
Yeah, there were times whenever she would show in a what I ate in a day video, she wouldn't exactly show everything that she ate. She would just show you guys what she thought was acceptable for you guys to see, and then just not even talk about the other things that she would eat. So I was just always shocked that she really thought people would believe that. And I think you guys already know this, but there were many days that she would film lots of videos in one day, and she would switch her outfits to make it more convincing that it was different days. And she would also ask me to change my outfits to make it more convincing for those videos.
Aisha asks if there were ever times where you would deliberately take longer during the errands that Amberlynn would send you on just so that you could have more time away from her.
Absolutely, yes, I would. I did it every single time, every chance I got. That's also what I would do in the bathroom a lot. I would pretend to be using the bathroom for a long time, but I would really just be in there having my peace.
So we have all been clued in on what really happened with Amberlynn and the wiping situation. It was not just solely something that took place after her hysterectomy. There was a lot of upkeep on your end in terms of Amberlynn's personal hygiene. What was Ricky and Eric's involvement in that, if anything? Did Eric and Ricky ever help wash? Did they ever help do anything? Or did they just kind of look at you and say, well, she's your girlfriend, that's your problem?
It was definitely the latter. They were just basically like, well, it's your girlfriend, your responsibility. You know, you really shouldn't have to be doing these things anyway. But of course they weren't going to help, but understandably, and they should not have had to.
The next question is, do you know or remember what exactly happened after the "is that my cereal" incident? When Amberlynn approached you when you were sitting on the couch in the living room and said very kind of furiously, "What cereal is that?" And you covered for her by saying, "What's that over there?" And Amberlynn stomped off.
What's the name of that? That made me wondering. I mean, we have 6 people here. Why did you guys... Huh?
What is that over there?
Was there a follow-up to that? Were there ever moments where food aggression was very apparent with Amberlynn?
I think we had recently discussed dieting and counting calories, and it was cereal that we had already had, and I didn't want it to go to waste, but I think it's because she was upset at the fact that we had talked about eating healthy and I was eating the Cocoa Puffs. But we all know that the diet was going to be over in a few hours anyway, because that's just how she was. So usually I would have been trying to take the diet seriously, but that day I just knew the diet wouldn't last and I ate the Cocoa Puffs. As for the food aggression, I feel like she did have some food aggression, but I don't really have any specific examples because I feel like I was spared from that because we had very different tastes in food and I just never really wanted to try what she had.
Could you tell us in your words what exactly happened with the Jonesy rings that you used to propose to Amber in the infamous video and the screenshots that followed along in what the community refers to as Ringgate?
So I did try to sell them on a Facebook marketplace, but no one wanted them. So Amber did catch wind of it and she wanted them back. I don't know what she wanted them back for. I guess maybe to try to sell herself, but I don't know. I ended up giving her one of them back and I lost the other one by the time I'd gotten the other one to her.
Strawberry Shortcake asks, if Amberlynn admitted to free bleeding, were you also expected during your time with Amber to clean up after all human bodily functions?
Yeah, I knew about the free bleeding and I did have to sometimes clean up after it, but that's all I'll really say about that.
Anna Cottrell wants to ask if, and of course you don't have to disclose the answer to this, are there things that you are taking to the grave, so to speak, when it comes to Amberlynn? Are there certain details or events that happened that no matter how juicy the drama or the ability for you to profit or get clout off of it or anything of the sort, are there things that happened in your relationship with Amberlynn that you plan on never disclosing to the world?
Yes, there are some things that I do keep to myself just because they are embarrassing and wouldn't be very kind to share with the world. And though Amber has called me a liar and money hungry and has tried to embarrass me, my goal has never been to do those things to her. I only wanted to tell my story and to help her see that she needs to take some accountability.
Isabel Schumacher asks, during the transition between your season and Jade's season, season 5, was Jade kind to you? Did Jade kind of make the overlap in the relationship as easy and not awkward as possible? Did it kind of turn into Amberlynn wanting you out of there and Jade in? Was it sort of like a 2 versus 1 situation, or did Jade remain neutral?
She was kind to my face, but I did find out later on from Eric and Ricky that she would talk about me behind my back. She didn't make it any easier or harder because I was already halfway out the door whenever she moved in.
Lori asks, was there ever an incident or a period of time where you considered calling a mobile crisis team or initiating a 5150 for Amber, maybe staging an intervention with people that were in her social circle? Did that ever strike your mind as something that might be a good idea?
So I did not realize that you could do something like that, but I think if that were to have happened, she just would have cut everybody off and came back not changing a thing.
The mattress and litter box that you recently told us about being covered in piss and shit that no one was attending to regarding the pets that you came across, were you responsible for cleaning all of that up and throwing away the mattress? Were there times where you were throwing away mattresses or things that normally, if they were given ordinary maintenance, you would just kind of throw them away because they were beyond repair, or it was better to just buy a new one instead of clean it?
I was the one who eventually cleaned up the litter boxes. Some people may think that was the first sign to turn around and run, and I should have, but I felt bad for her. At the time, I thought she just needed help. And that was something that Amber could just physically not do, but that's not an excuse to put your animals through that. The bed was beyond saving, and Amber didn't know what to do with it, so she ended up just leaving it behind, which is unfair to the people who owned that apartment and had to dispose of it. The only other mattress that we had to get rid of was the one that we slept on for years, and we ended up burning it before we moved to Lexington.
Alyssa Faye asks, so there were times when you left for upwards of days for time to spend with your family and Amber was left alone at the house. What did you do in the event, or what did she do in the event that you weren't around?
There were a lot of things that she couldn't do without me, so that's why my time away from her or with my family was very limited, because she would try to take care of things on her own, but then she would text me and make me feel bad for not being there to help her do the things that she couldn't do without me. So she would do her best to not do those things that she needed help with while I was gone.
Maggie G asks, what were Amberlynn's thoughts about Michael B. Petty? And what I would like to add on to this is, would Amberlynn look into reaction channels in regards to wanting to sue them or looking up information about them to anonymously spill tea about them? Would she deliberately create rumors about reaction channels to tarnish their image? Recently, it was disclosed to us by Amberlynn's ex-friend Alexis that Amberlynn paid for my information, and who knows what she would have done with it. Has she ever done anything, or that you know of during the time that you spent with her, that she kind of went after reaction channels in an unorthodox way?
So there were a lot of reaction channels that she couldn't stand. Like, she couldn't stand Oh Lordy, It's Jordy. She couldn't stand Michael B. Petty. She completely got Kicking Geese taken down, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. She also completely hated CXNT and Charlie Gold. There were so many reaction channels that she just absolutely despised. And I don't know if she really paid for the information or anything, but I do know that she was obsessively watching you guys and just seething with rage.
Magic Flower says that you recently disclosed to us that Amberlynn kept you in the car and prevented you from breaking up with her. Was that a normal occurrence? Did that happen pretty frequently where she would tell you, no, you can't break up with me? Or was it just a handful of times that you can remember?
There were times that we would get into arguments and she would be like, you can't leave this room, or don't you dare walk out on me. But the car thing only happened one time. There were multiple other times I would try to leave her, but she would emotionally manipulate me into staying.
Katsuki's asks if you ever felt like a rebound for Amber or someone that she could use as bait to try to win Destiny back. Did you feel like Amberlynn was just in a relationship with you so that she could have a partner to show Destiny that she could move on?
Honestly, I feel like every girlfriend she gets is a rebound for the previous one. But yes, I did think about that, especially in the beginning of the relationship.
How did Amberlynn really feel about Chantal, or Foodie Beauty? Did she have private opinions on Chantal, or did she like Chantal? Did she have nice things to say about Foodie Beauty?
They were on again, off again friends. So whenever they were friends, Amber really didn't care about her too much, didn't pay too much attention. But whenever they were arguing, Amber did talk bad about her like she does anybody else.
Knives Pilgrim asks if there are actually ways that she is misunderstood by the community or the internet as a whole. Are there things that the reaction channels or the community wildly get wrong, or the camera versus real life does not translate well? Are there things that really Amberlynn should be given a little bit of a break on that you can think of?
No, I used to think that they were wrong, but definitely not now.
And Storm asks, how was Amberlynn with her money? Does she have more put away than she leads on? Is she doing very well for herself? Do you think that it's absolutely ridiculous that you left the apartment with $100 to your name knowing how well Amberlynn was doing?
She did make a ridiculous amount of money. I don't know about now, but when I was with her, she did not save it. She would spend it, and it would just be on whatever random things she wanted. And I don't want to sound like a broken record, and I don't want to keep harping on this, but it is ridiculous that I only had $100 to move out on, because I didn't get any of the money from the live streams that I participated in. But I am just grateful to be out of that situation and in a better one now. So that is the end of the Oh Lordy, It's Jordy Q&A video. I hope everyone enjoyed this video and made it to the end. And I want to thank Jordy again for setting this up and making this video for me to react to. I appreciate everyone who has been watching my channel, and I hope to see you all in the next one.